Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. In this session, we're going to see web action, an action which is called type. Type basically does type as the name suggests. If you have any input items, input element on the web page, TagUI can type the input which you try to provide. So the type is a action. Some input is an element in which the action should be performed, and as some text is what needs to be performed. So this is one way of implementing the syntax. Other way of doing it is type and the element information. It can be any of the identifiers techniques which we have used. We could apply that. As you can perform some key operations which is clear, which has to be done given in bracket, and the text, and you can also perform what should happen after that, enter, tab, or any other keys which needs to be pressed. It can also be used with the visual identification techniques or visual recognition techniques which TagUI has. You can use type and you can use an image. On that image, whatever the action you are trying to perform or text you are going to write it would perform that. Example of syntax is type input as tag, or type input as clear key, which is clear, that will clear the text box, anything is written, and it will type TagUI and it will press enter. In the third option, we could use a text box identification, which is PNG. It will try to search for the text box, whichever the text box is. It will enter TagUI and press enter. We'll see all these example combinations in our example. Welcome back. Let's start our Notepad++. Let's start implementing TagUI type TagUI type examples. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to Google Chrome and we'll launch www.google.com. We'll come here and we'll try to enter get.com and it should show this page, or you can just specify anything else in this text box. The intention here for us is to type some information on the text box and perform some action, which is enter or clear. So we'll see all the three example types. So let's go back to our code and let's copy for google.com, come back and say / launch google.com, and that's what it does. And let's give a wait for 5 seconds to load the page, and wait command is used for waiting, which will wait for page to fully load it for 5 seconds. The next step is enter in search box, and to do so we need to recognize it. So to recognize the search box, we could go to our, we'll use one of the techniques which we followed, which is identification techniques. So basically go to these three dots, go to more tools, and you have a developer tool. So in the developer tools, let's use this and try to identify this. So when you see that the input class is this, and this technically identifies it whatever we want, but we will use our XPath technique and see if we can able to identify. So the tag name is input, and we found an input. So we have basically 9 inputs, and then we are going to go for here the name attribute, which is pretty much unique. The way we can identify, let's see if name makes it unique. Name, and we can say equal to quotes and colon, check, we have 1 of 1, so there is no, it's a unique item. So let's copy that. This is the object, so we can go back and say, hey, type, we say input as, and we would perform the same thing, get bala.com. So this is the first example, and we'll say wait for like 5 seconds and finish. Save this and let's execute this, and then we'll come back what happens, see and what happens with that. So save it in a desired location. So go back to your desired location where your scripts are to be saved. Say type example.tag, say save. So this gets saved and this is now available. So let's execute and see how it goes. To execute it, let's move back this code side and let's minimize this, and let's launch our command prompt. Say cmd, and command gets open. Okay, go to your desired location. Let's try to execute it. So I'm going to move it here, and I'm going to say TagUI and type example.tag and say enter. Let's see what happens. So it launches web browser. It launched successfully. A little bit here so that we can see clearly. And it went to google.com as we wanted to navigate to, and then it entered bala.com and it exited. So this is the example which we have put in, wherein we are able to enter some item. So in this particular case, we'll see if there are something already there. We will try to clear it, and we'll try to perform enter. So in this particular case, we'll copy paste this item. So this gives you an idea how it should be done with the enter. So in this particular case, we are going to clear this. So to clear it, we can say clear, and we can provide enter key, space missing. So let's go And let's go and run the code. Let's enter, see what happens. We move this a little bit further so that you can see what's happening. So it's launched to google.com, and it tried to enter. So that's the first statement, and it's waiting for the next statement. It cleared it, entered. So we have not given space. So ideally between these two things we need to give a space, and if you don't give a space it won't work. So let's just say space and rerun them. So it should clear it one step, and then the next step should be and it should basically perform the enter. So let's save this and try running again. So it's navigating to google.com, trying to enter. The first option is taken care of. Now it should clear. So it cleared and typed again, and so this is case sensitive. It needs to be used as a lowercase, and let's try to save it and run again. So Google launched, and it's typed the first statement, and now it has entered, cleared and entered. Now you can see the website has been displayed and it finished successfully. So there are three things to remember. One, when we are trying to provide this information between as and the text, there should be a space. Two, when you are providing any clear operation or key operations, those key operation needs to be lowercase to perform the operation correctly, and the object which we are trying to identify you should be able to recognize. So now last but not least, we will see how we can able to identify with the image. So let's go to identify an image and perform action on top of the image. Let's use our favorite snipping tool. Let's open a snipping tool. Let's launch Google, and let's say new, and let's say and try to identify this. Let's close the developer tools for a bit. Yeah, let's say new. Let's try and identify the screen, and now let's go and save this, and it should be saved in the same folder where our scripts are. Google search dot, when you save it, it will save it as png. Let's say save and close, and let's come back here, say enter TagUI in a search box using visual automation. So now type and bring your image, and let's go to the file. Let's rename it to get a right name. Copy, come back here and paste it, say .png as, and let's say tag UI is what we are trying to type it, and after typing it we'll say enter, and we will try to clear it, whatever we have, say clear, and then save this, and let's open our command prompt, run again, see what happens. It launched to Google Chrome, and it's launched to google.com. We typed bala.com, nothing should be entered, so we are entering bala.com and enter, it's there. Now we are asking to identify the image, so it should identify it. Okay, so it could not identify the image. Where is the image? Because we used a different location to perform that. So what we will do here is we'll update it here. So we'll come back here, we'll open our snipping tool and save it. So we'll say Google PN, and let's close this, click this, it should basically come back to here. So we'll go here and google.png, and we'll wait for like 2 to 3 seconds, come back and we'll say wait for, we can reduce the weights here, we'll say 2 with 2, right, and then save this and run again. Let's run again and minimize it, and let's run it again. So it's launched went to google.com, typed, and now it's going to clear and type and enter. So it cleared and type entered. Now it should click on the google.com. So it went on google.com. Now it came back and typed TagUI.com. So this has performed all the operations from a type standpoint. So this is how you can type type on any items on the screen, or interact by entering some data or details to the screen. So when we are trying to use type, the two things to be remembered is when you're using any keys, it should be in a lowercase, it should not be in a capital. When you're using image, make sure you're using image to identify it correctly. Whichever location you have it, you try to bring it to that. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in another one.